真理だ。見えた。
痛みよ我が身をまとえ。
We can all agree that Wuthering Waves is not your average gacha game. The game was not only meant to drain your wallet, but also drive you insane at the same time, especially if you're playing the tower or hologram bosses. But all that changes today because you clicked on this video. Kuro games will still make you homeless, but at least I can help ease the pain by making the game enjoyable and satisfying before that happens. This will be a great way to brush up on your fundamentals even if you're already highly skilled at the game. In today's video, we'll be covering parrying, dodge counters, delayed counters, swap cancelling, and Concerto Energy. Before we begin, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because it's free and you can always change your mind. There will be timestamps provided in the video so you can quickly navigate to your preferred section, but I highly recommend that you watch everything for the maximum effect. Let's start with parrying. This can be quite difficult and risky for new players to pull off, but it doesn't have to be if you know a few tips about parrying because it rewards you with a little bit of damage, and most importantly, it takes away a huge portion of the enemy's vibration strength, which is very similar to the posture bar in Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Think of it as a shield that the enemy has which prevents you from immobilizing it. And once their vibration strength is broken, you get to do damage without worrying about getting attacked. With some few exceptions. To execute a parry, you need to understand the character that you're using perfectly, because spamming attacks barely works in your favor if you think your attack sequence will line up with the parry. For example, some characters have a longer range of attack like Jian and Kukaracha because they are broad blade users, which means that it will be a bit easier for them to parry. Let me explain. When you see the inner and outer golden ring appear on the enemy, it means that you can parry the incoming attack, but you have to wait until the golden outer ring has almost touched the inner one. The duration of time that you need to wait depends on the range of your attack you will use to parry and the distance between you and the enemy. For example, if you use Ling Yang like I do, you always need to be very close to your enemy to execute the parry because of its short range attack. On the other hand, if you use a character like Calculator, parrying attacks will be easier because of its long reach of attack. Another thing that you should keep in mind is that the attacks that you use to parry lingers or stays there for about half a second to be able to trigger the parry. This means that when you attack your enemy to perform a parry, your attack animation stays there for a short while. So if you have a high speed moving enemy like Tempest Memphis, the enemy can literally punish itself by getting close to you while your attack animation lingers or stays there. In simple terms, make sure you're closer to the enemy such that your attack will reach them, or you think that the enemy will reach your attack range, then watch out for the golden outer ring to get teeny tiny bit close to the inner one and then parry. Before you say that this is so risky so I'll rather dodge instead, I got something special for you. We all know that you can easily mess up when you try to parry, so I introduced to you parry cancellation, or basically dash cancelling. All you need to do is press dash right after performing the attack that you want to use to parry, and if you mess up in any way, which you will most likely do if you're new to parrying, it will still trigger a perfect dodge or a dodge animation. I recommend that you do this every single time you try to parry, but if you're feeling confident, then by all means stand there and pray that the attack connects with the parry. Another thing that you should keep in mind is that not all enemies have the golden rings when their incoming attacks can be parried. A huge exception is the hologram Morning Eggs, who has two special grab attacks that can be parried without showing two golden rings closer to each other. The first one is when it flies up in the air and grabs you at high speed. This can be parried easily if you attack as soon as you see its yellow wing pulses. Then there's the other one where you see two golden rings but separated from each other. Again, always use dash cancelling to escape the danger if you mess up. Moving on to dodge counters. When an enemy is about to attack you and you dash just before the attack reaches you, you will perform a dodge. The window is very big, so normally you can even dash a few moments before the attack reaches you and you will still perform a dodge. If you also dash as soon as the attack comes in contact with your on-field character, you can activate the dodge animation, but you will take damage before the dodge animation begins. So to be on the safer side, just dodge right when the attack is about to hit you. Now that dodges are out of the way, let's get to dodge counters. Dodge counters are basically the follow-up attack after a dodge animation. So you just have to press your attack button after a dodge and your character will launch a follow-up attack, which is mostly their combo string from their third basic attack sequence. Now let's look at delayed counters. Delayed counters are basically dodge counters but at a bit higher level. When you perform a dodge counter, a part of the follow-up attack that your character does makes the character invulnerable to any type of damage. That's right, any type of damage, which is pretty broken. For Ling Yang, it's his double kick of his third basic attack sequence. Few characters have special dodge counter invulnerability animation like Alcharo's super lightning speed dodge counter. Delayed counters are an extension or a prolonged version of the dodge counter, which extends the invulnerability frames, making you literally invincible. What you need to do to achieve this is to basically wait until your character has almost finished your dodge animation and then press your attack button. This will make you invulnerable throughout the duration of the dodge animation and the dodge counter animation. This is very useful when trying to evade consecutive attacks, which can be very annoying when up against bosses like Crownless. But keep in mind that your character's invulnerability state will end as soon as you finish the dodge counter animation, which is the specific sequence of their basic attack that is triggered by pressing your basic attack after the dodge animation. So what I'm trying to say is that not all follow-up attacks after your dodge counter animation gives you invulnerability frames, so be sure to keep that in mind. Now let's take a look at swap cancelling. Swap cancelling is basically starting an animation that takes a bit longer to complete or finish, like Zhang Li Yao's divergence skill when he's in his liberation, and then swapping to another character like Alcharo as soon as the divergence animation begins to use his liberation, for example. It was so broken that they have to nerf it at the game's launch by preventing your characters from keeping outro buffs like Sanwo's 35% basic attack damage deepen, for example, even though your character technically does not leave the field when you do a quick swap. However, it's still overpowered because it allows you to solve energy problems in your team by swapping to another character and using their skills or do any kind of damage and then swap back to your previous character, which is not possible in hypercarry teams because your teammates' skills will be off cooldown throughout your DPS character's damage window. It also helps you enjoy two of your favorite DPS characters in one team without limiting yourself to one at a time, and the damage output is actually on par with hypercarry teams when done correctly. Now let's tie everything together with Concerto Energy. Unlike Genshin Impact that focuses on overpowered reactions by combining elements, Wuthering Waves has a special bar here called Concerto Energy for every character that you need to fill up by actually using them on field, and learning how to efficiently manage the Concerto Energy of every character, including supports and DPS characters, is basically how you beat the game. But what the heck is Concerto Energy? Well, Concerto Energy is an ability much similar to your Resonance Liberation that you need to fully fill up to do two things, and that is to activate an intro skill and an outro skill. An intro skill is basically a dramatic entrance that the character you call on the field does when the previous on-field character's Concerto Energy is full, and the character that was previously on the field will do an outro skill. Supportive characters like Sanwa, Mortefi, and Alto have outro skills that buffs the incoming character that triggers an intro skill. This means that when a character like Mortefi is on the field, you need to fully fill up his Concerto Energy before you swap to your damage dealer like Jiyan, who will gain the increased heavy attack damage buff. This means that the faster you build up your Concerto Energy with every character, the faster you can complete your rotation to deal huge damage within a small amount of time. In general, every character's dodge counter, resonance skill, forte circuit, resonance liberation, and intro skills gives a decent amount of Concerto Energy. That means that you need to deal damage with your character's abilities to generate Concerto Energy. Also keep in mind that any type of damage that you deal except damage from outro skills gives you Concerto Energy, but the abilities that gives you higher amounts are the ones that I previously mentioned. Also keep in mind that you don't always have to look at your Concerto Energy gauge to determine whether it's full or not. It could take your eyes off the enemy, so all you need to do is listen to this special sound effect when your Concerto Energy is full. The amount of Concerto energy that every character gains by using their abilities differ, so you need to carefully read about the character's kit or simply watch my videos to gain crucial information on how to build up Concerto energy faster with every character in the game. With that said, there are 4-star weapons of each weapon type in the game that has the ceaseless aria passive skill, like the variation for example, which gives you additional Concerto energy when you use your resonance skill. And you can gain these weapons by wishing on any of the weapon banners that are currently available. And there you have it. This is everything that I've learned about Wuthering Waves combat system so far. This took a lot of time to put together, so please consider liking the video and subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
So please whatever.